Welcome to Creative Piecemeal Podcast, a podcast for creatives. I'm your host, Tammy Takeishi. Join me for compelling conversations with artists, actors, authors, musicians, and other creatives about the impact of the creative and fine arts in their lives and our ever-changing world. Thank you for listening. Hello, and welcome to Creative Piecemeal Podcast. Today, I am joined by one of my best friends and talented authors, Cheyanne Young. She writes books for teens and is an award-winning author whose book, The Last Wish of Sasha Cade, is being made into a movie. So definitely read that before it hits the screens. And this actually marks her second appearance on the podcast. So I'm just excited to have her back and catch up with all things books and writing and glitter and pets and fun stuff. So welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. And thank you for mentioning glitter and pets. Those are my two favorite things besides books. You know me so well.
I know. So we hit quite a few questions the last time. So we're going to play this one sort of off the cuff. And I'm just terribly curious. Are you a pancakes, waffle, or French toast person?
Oh boy, why would you do this to me fresh out of the gate? Okay, so it really just depends on where they come from because a really good French toast is the best. I love Waffle House's waffles, and pancakes are really good the way that my husband's best friend makes them. And
Oddly
he taught me the
specific.
trick. Yeah, he taught me the trick and it didn't work because I can't cook to save my life. So I love all of them individually in their own ways, but I guess if I have to pick, I would say French toast.
Awesome. I feel like you can't really go wrong with that answer, you know?
Yeah, I mean, put one of each on a plate and I will eat it together. So
That would be amazing. Like, why has no one done that before?
maybe we should start a very specific type of breakfast restaurant.
Yes, we'll go into business. Oh, goodness. So let's talk books. Since the last time we chatted, you have released in various forms a bunch of new and delicious books. Would you like me to tell the audience, the listeners, a little bit more about those?
Sure, yeah. I love when other people describe my books because when I do it, I freeze up and I say it wrong and it sounds like I don't know anything about the book even though I wrote it.
I feel that. But they're lovely. So
Thank you.
what is available for people to purchase and devour?
Let's see. There is a young adult contemporary called If We Break Up. There is another young adult contemporary called Before We Wake. I love them both equally, though I believe those are the only two books that came out since we last talked, although I really can't remember. And then I have a book releasing later this year with Ever 19. It's called The Years Between Us.
I love that title.
So I like it too. I came up with it and I was hoping to think of something better and I never did. And my publisher liked it. So that's the title.
It's so catchy though. It's almost like a song title or something.
Well, does it make you think of time travel? Because that is what the novel is about.
I would say so, yes. Time travel, but also it just feels so like poetic. You know, it's such a poetic title. It's like, oh man, it makes me want to write a book just to call it that, you know.
Yeah. Maybe you could write a song called that.
There you go. All about praising your book with that name.
Hey, you know what? Make a whole album of songs, each one praising my books.
That would not be hard to do because you write such wonderful, heartfelt, and just like great reads. You know, even though you describe yourself as writing for young adults and teens, I feel like anyone of any age could really, you know, teens and up, you know, could appreciate these stories and they stick with you, you know.
Thank you. Yeah, sometimes I have, like on my website, it says I write books for teens, and then in parentheses, it's like, and the teens at heart, because I know a lot of adults also enjoy reading them. I think not to toot my own horn, but I think I'm good at writing about just teenage angst, mainly because I'm almost 40 and I'm still filled with it. So, yeah, I write about, those first experiences and teen angst and figuring out who you are. And sometimes I write it in a way that makes you cry, which is really fun. I have discovered I very much love making people cry. So,
It's your
um,
superpower.
thank you. I appreciate that. With Sasha Cade, I didn't know it was going to be as sad as it was until it was finished. And then I realized I can't even, it's been out for 5 years now, and I can't even glance through it without getting kind of misty-eyed because it's just so sad. But I hope that doesn't deter anyone from reading it. It's sad in a hopeful way.
Yeah, yeah. It's a good sad. Like it's the sad that you want to experience.
Exactly.
Yes. So last time we talked a little bit about your writing process. I'm, as you know, terribly envious of how you are a fast drafter. But do you have any thoughts to share with people getting into writing a little more seriously and how they can be more successful with drafting a book?
Yes. So a lot has actually changed. The last time we talked, I was a full-time writer. And I had been a full-time writer for 7 years. So the only thing I had to do was write, and I got really fast at it. But since we've talked, I have now taken a job at the library. So I now work full-time, and I started grad school because full-time grad school because I guess I just enjoy being overwhelmed and stressed all the time. I don't know. So
It's a
I
mood.
now yeah, it's just vibes, right? That's what the kids say, it's vibes. So I am working full time, I'm in school full time, and I just wrote and finished an entire manuscript this over this past spring semester. And the whole time I was so stressing that it was taking so long, right? I was like, why is this taking so long? And then when I finished the book about 2 weeks ago, I looked back and I realized I started it in February and halfway through February. So it took me 2.5 months to write this entire draft. I was like, you know what? I guess it didn't really take that long in comparison. But for me, it felt so long because I'm used to writing really quickly. So you asked for advice. You know what I'm going to say, first of all, write an outline. Outline your book. So, however that works for you, I recommend trying a bunch of different options. I like post-it notes. I like index cards. I can't stand Scrivener. I don't know why. I appreciate anyone that likes Scrivener. I have purchased it twice in my life for two different computers. I have it on my computer right now. I can't use it. Like I've tried it so much, and every now and then I think, oh, I'm going to outline my novel on Scrivener. Nope, I hate it. I just like the paper outlining, and I use post-it notes or index cards, and I jot down every single scene I can think of. Because normally when you get a book idea in your head, at least for me, it's like the few like pivotal scenes that you can just visualize that you want happening to the characters. And sometimes you don't even know how they get there. Maybe it's like the meet cute scene or the climax or something wild. And you have no idea how the plot's going to get there, but in your head, you've visualized it and you want it to happen. So I write all of those down. And as I'm writing them down, more ideas come to me. And then I lay them all out on a table, on the floor, or if they're sticky notes, stick them on the wall. And then I just rearrange them like a puzzle until they start to look like a start to finish, first act, second act, third act novel outline. And then I fill in with more, papers as needed until I have enough scenes, and then I write it down. I really do think that if you take the time to write a quality outline, it will make your writing go by so much faster. My outlines are typically like 4 to 5,000 words sometimes. So once I have that down, the writing is actually really quick. And then maybe I guess some like quick and dirty tips I have if you just want to get words on the page and you're kind of stuck. Sometimes I will switch to just dialogue. I will just have my characters talk back and forth, and I won't even bother putting anything else. It'll just be like dialogue, hit enter, dialogue, hit enter, dialogue, and I just have them talk. Like without fail, this never doesn't work. Eventually, after having them talk back and forth, suddenly I've kind of figured out where this scene needs to go. And then I will go back in, delete the unnecessary dialogue. I will add like action bits in between the dialogue and flesh it out and make it a chapter. And so that I think when I'm just feeling kind of stuck and I'm not sure what to write next, I just skip all the frivolous details. I don't set the scene, I don't describe anything. I just have the characters talk. So that's my like one of my little tricks I've learned that I like to share with people. Limit your distractions, which might sound obvious. Just turn off the TV. You do not have to keep watching another episode of that show. Get to writing. Just get to writing. Just do it.
Yes.
But have an outline, Tammy. You know this.
Oh, can I just hire you to outline my books?
I mean, you know what? I would do it for free because I love outlining.
Oh, and me. You love me.
I do as well. Yes.
I might have to take you up on that. Oh gosh. So speaking of writing tips, is there anything that you don't do or anything that you've tried that you're like, man, this really doesn't work for me?
Scrivener. Again, props to everyone who uses it. Like, it's such a cool app and it's so neat, and my brain just will not do that. Also, this old adage that you have to write every day. I don't put writing rules on myself. I just do it when I can. And if I'm not feeling it, I don't do it. If I don't have time, I don't do it, and I just let it go. And, like my previous manuscript, it took 2.5 months, and I was like kind of annoyed about it because it didn't get written. I didn't have enough time. When I did have time to write, I wrote, but I didn't have enough time to write, and it was really frustrating. So I don't like when people think they have to sit down every single day and write for 30 minutes or something. Like, don't force yourself to do that. That doesn't work. Other things, let's see, what doesn't work for me? I guess that's really it. I just kind of I live my life with intention that I want to write when I can. But if something happens and I can't, or sometimes if I just don't feel like it, I don't force myself. I used to force myself to write and it just didn't work. And the words I did write were terrible. So now I just write when I feel like it. And I do not use Scrivener. I also don't do dictation. I don't know if you've tried that. I listened to so many podcasts and read so many authors saying that they now just talk into their phone and dictate all their novels. And that sounded awesome. And I gave it a really good try. It did not work for me. So I quit.
Yeah, I'm a visual person. That would be very difficult for me.
It is weird. Yeah. Because I thought I would like take a walk around the neighborhood and just talk into my phone. And it's very like romantic sounding, but I was like, wait, what did I just say? I don't even remember. So yeah, but try it. If it works for you, it works for you. It does not work for me.
Where do you find some of your inspiration?
Oh, that's a good question. My inspiration comes from everywhere. I know I've told the story about Sasha Cade before, that my inspiration for that story, which is definitely my most successful book to date, was that my daughter just made a sarcastic, flippant comment to me, and it suddenly like just sparked an entire plot in my head. I was like pacing around the living room. I was trying to come up with a new book idea. And I said, I want to write a book about two best friends, but I'm not sure what's going to happen because there has to be drama, but I don't want them to get mad at each other. What am I going to do? And my daughter said, well, you could kill one of them. And she's just joking. And I was like, oh my God, that's it. One of them dies of cancer and leaves letters to the surviving friend. And it's like the plot just unfolded in my mind. Like every single chapter immediately unfolded, and I instantly knew it. So that has never happened since then, unfortunately. I thought maybe I had unlocked this brilliant novel generating idea. It has not. I have stared at my daughter and said, quick, say something sarcastic, and it's never spurned another book idea. But I get a lot of ideas from consuming other media, like sometimes just listening to music, reading poetry, even just like watching movie trailers has kind of inspired ideas for me, because how like movie trailers are made to like and like get your creative gears turning, and it makes
Mhm.
you want to watch the movie, right? But I will think, well, what if something exactly the opposite of that happened? And that will kind of inspire me. The newest manuscript I just finished, it has not been sold or even submitted yet, so I don't know if it will become a book. I hope it will. It was just simply inspired by my own dog because I love him so much. He's a working canine. He's a scent detection canine. And I thought it would be so cool to write a story about a teenage girl who inherits a retired working dog. And so that one was really hard to come up with the plot that fit that, but I finally did. So ideas are everywhere. You just have to be kind of looking out for them.
Yes. And I must say the bit that I have read I really loved, so I'm excited to see where that goes in the future. So,
The canine one.
yes, yes.
Yes. It was really hard to write, but I'm really happy with the product right now. So hopefully it will become a book in the future.
Nice. Is there anything brewing in your brain that you can't wait to work on? I mean, like you don't have to give away details, but
Yes.
like
I was just about to give away details and then I realized, no, I probably shouldn't. I haven't even written it yet.
yeah.
Yes, I was just at lunch today with my friend who is also a writer, and we kind of like we have been tossing back and forth this idea every time we hang out. And I think we finalized it today. And she was like, "You have to dedicate this book to me if it sells." It will be a middle grade novel, and let's see, what can I not spoil too much? It's about best friends and friendship, and it is about sort of a Groundhog Day situation and a wishing well where she makes a wish. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay. Yes, because we certainly can't give too much away. You got to keep those ideas locked up.
And a few years ago, I would say, "Oh, ideas are a dime a dozen, and nobody's gonna steal it." But then I had an idea stolen, and it really sucked. So, I do, yeah, you got to keep your ideas to yourself.
Yeah, yeah. I'm pretty paranoid about it. I'm so selective about who I send manuscripts to and anything like that in terms of like beta readers, you know.
For sure.
So you have obviously done writing for a large portion of your life, but now you're doing a little bit of librarianism. Would you mind talking a little bit about some of your favorite things about working at a library?
Yes, the books. I'm surrounded by books all day. Um, I work in the teen section, so I do a lot of teen programming, which I find really, really fun. It's also kind of like a cheat code to write novels for teenagers. You just like do programming for them and then sit back and watch how they act. It will inspire you. So I get to make a lot of book displays, which is also super fun because I'm a really crafty person and I like to highlight and display books that don't always get displayed. I like to root for the underdog of books. We also I get to help a lot of patrons, which is really fun too. We provide a lot of services. I work for a huge library system. So we actually have a lot of cool stuff. I know that some smaller libraries don't, but we have, like the 3D printers, all kinds of neat stuff. Yeah, I'm just kind of doing a little bit of everything. And this summer, I am hosting our library's very first author festival, where I invited all the local Houston area authors that I know. So it's going to be a pretty big event, and I'm really psyched for it. Yeah, and I'm liking it. It's weird taking that leap back into a day job after being a full-time writer because I feel like for so many writers the dream is to be full-time, and I lived the dream for 7 years and I got really tired of it.
What is a book that you've recently read that you couldn't put down?
Hit me with these hard questions. I recently read a middle grade book called From the Desk of Zoe Washington by Janae Marks. It was really, really good. It's kind of about a girl who just turns 12 on her 12th birthday. She checks the mail and discovers a letter from her father who's incarcerated, who she has never spoken to, never talked to because he is in prison for murder. And she reads the letter, and he sounds like a really nice person. And it also sounds like this isn't the first time he's written her. And she's a little confused by it. So she replies, and they kind of just reply back and forth. And he tells her that he's innocent of the crime that he's been convicted of. And she decides, and so obviously, her mother has been keeping her away because she thinks he's a bad man. But she decides she's going to dredge up the evidence and try to get him, freed. And it's really inspiring. It's really sweet. It's a really good story. I could not put it down. I have been reading a lot more middle grade lately because that is what I am writing right now. And so that's the newest one that I just read all in one sitting. Another one recently, it is not released yet. I read an advanced copy because the author is my friend. Abigail Johnson's new book is called Every Time You Go Away. It's a young adult. It's an upper young adult that releases, I believe it releases in December of this year. It's up for pre-order right now. It is phenomenal. That's really all I can say without spoiling too much. So you have to go check it out. It is her best book yet. And I love all of her books. So that is saying a lot, I think.
Excellent. You mentioned that you obviously like to do crafts. So what are some things that you enjoy making in your free time?
I have so much free time, let me tell you. Um, I like making everything. I don't think I have really a specialty. A few years back, I bought one of those Cricuts, it's like a vinyl paper cutter. And now that's my favorite thing in the world is making anything I can with a Cricut. I'm really handy with a sewing machine. I have been sewing since I was a little kid. So I sew myself stuff a lot. I can crochet. I cannot knit. I don't know why. I can only crochet. And I also like playing with resin and glitter. So I just like all things crafty. I can't really narrow myself down to one crafty thing. I also really like watching those Instagram reels that are like DIY home remodeling things that I really shouldn't get myself into, but I do anyway.
That's funny. Is there a craft that you have not tried that you want to?
Actually, I don't think so because I'm really compulsive, and every time I see a craft that looks fun, I go buy it and do it immediately. I was recently doing the diamond paintings, which is like these little plastic rhinestone things you stick. It's like a color by number, but with rhinestones. And I saw that on Instagram and I bought it the same day. So I can't really think of a craft that I haven't done that I want to do. But if you know any, send them my way. I'm all about it.
Nice. Did you ever finish your puzzle that's like clear?
Yes, it's on my Instagram. I had to take a selfie with it. My friend got it for me. They call it the impossible puzzle. It's 500 pieces and they're clear. And they are all shaped kind of exactly alike. So there's no like weird squiggles that you can find. I did finish it and I left it on the table for months and then I finally crumbled it up and put it back in the bag. So I figured I would finish it again another day. And it's funny you mentioned that because I put that in my canine story I just finished writing. I had her put one together as sort of a like personal challenge to commit to herself that she can get it done, and she did. So
Cool. Was it as hard as they say?
no, it was super easy. So if you want to know the trick, listen up. I will tell you. If you don't, fast forward 30 seconds. So you lay out like all the edge pieces, right? Start with the edge pieces. Here's exactly what I did. I am not kidding. And it was way quicker than you may have think. I took one piece and I took another piece and I put them together. And if they didn't match, I grabbed another one. And I went through all 499 pieces until I found a piece that matched. And then I did the same thing with the next 498 pieces. Or how, I think I did the math wrong. You know what I mean? So I just literally matched every single puzzle piece up to the next one in line until one fit together. And you just go through the whole puzzle that way. And it maybe took me 6 or 7 hours, which wasn't really that long. So I feel like I like hacked the world's hardest puzzle.
You have the patience of a saint though, because I would be like, that's not happening.
Well, I was listening to an audiobook, so that's kind of it makes it a little easier.
That helps. So if you had no limitations or barriers in terms of a project, whether it's a craft project or a writing project, what do you think you would try?
I'm gonna do both. I would take one of those Sprinter vans and turn it into a really cool RV that has all of the features that my husband and I want with the dogs, and then travel around the country. And secondly, for a book, I would write the book idea that's been in my head for about 15 years. And it's too hard for me to write. I don't know how to write it. I don't know how to plot it, but I want to write it so bad. And I've kind of decided that one day when my brain is at the level that it can handle this project, then I will tackle it. But so far I haven't been able to. It's just too hard to figure out.
Mm.
So ideally, I would write that book in my awesome van and be traveling around the country at the same time.
That sounds fantastic. Where do you
It
think
does.
you'd want to travel to first?
Um, Alaska.
Ooh. Have
I
you
want.
been and you want to go again, or have you never been?
I've never been. I've watched every episode of Gold Rush. That was my pandemic binge. And I want to move to Alaska at least once in my life and like work on a mine site because I think it would be really refreshing to get out of this concrete hell that we live in here in Houston. And it would be cool and cold, like cold. So yeah, and I want to travel across the country and see everything. So I would go straight to Alaska first.
That sounds very interesting.
Yeah. It's like not what you'd expect from me, but I really feel like I would be super good at being an excavator operator. Like I just want to man those huge machines and just like crush the earth. And I think it would be so much fun. I want to do it more than anything. So my husband's not really on board, but I was like, one of these days we're gonna spend a summer in Alaska and I'm gonna work on a mine site and you can come if you want to.
There you go. There you go. That sounds really neat though.
I think I'm in front of a computer so much of my life that I am like desiring getting away from the computer for a little bit and just get outside and see nature and just destroy the earth with a gigantic excavator is what I really want.
Pivoting a little bit, what is one of your favorite movies and what does it reveal about you?
Oh, I can't believe I'm gonna say this. My favorite movie is Ever After with Drew Barrymore.
It's a good
And
movie.
I don't know what it is about that movie. When it first came out, I adored it and I got the DVD and I watched the DVD so many times that it was like scratched and didn't work anymore. Now you can stream it and I own like the digital version. And every now and then I will just put it on and I will just watch it from start to finish and I won't look at my phone and I know every word. I don't know what it reveals about me because I wouldn't say I really care about Cinderella or fairy tales or even princesses, really. I just love that movie so much. It's just like simplistic. I don't know. That's my favorite movie though. I said it and now I can't unsay it. So there you go.
Well, it's such a good comfort movie, and it's got a
Yes.
sweet story and a pretty good soundtrack, and
Yeah, and that's kind of just how like I am very much someone that likes the comfort like I latch onto something, whether it's a TV show or a movie, and I just like to revisit it all the time. And so maybe it is more just because it is really comforting. I mean, I also love John Wick, so I'm multifaceted
there
when
you
it comes
go.
to movies.
I haven't seen the newest one yet, though.
We haven't either. We want to. It's hard to find the time these days. Too busy putting together 500-piece puzzles and writing novels.
Not a bad life, though.
Right, true.
So, quirky question. What would you bring to a potluck?
An empty stomach and a fork. I am not a good cook. I would probably bring like maybe brownies. Yeah, I would bring brownies.
I kind of feel like I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah. It's hard to mess them up and they're delicious. So
They are tasty. Although I must say, I'm more of a cupcake person.
really,
Yeah.
I do like a good cupcake. They're harder to make though.
Yes. Yes. Very true. Harder to get consistent.
Hmm.
Brownies are good though.
Have you had brookies? They're like brownies with cookie batter on top.
Yes.
Those are
I
pretty good too.
I have. Those are pretty good indeed. And anything that's a dessert, I'm usually on board with.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
I'm not that picky about a dessert.
No.
Oh, yep. All right. Crayons, markers, or colored pencils? What's your favorite?
Well, my answer doesn't really fall into any of those. My answer is the friction fine liner erasable pens. So they kind of write like really fine lined markers,
Mm,
but they erase. There's a little eraser on them and you can erase them and they're incredible and they write awesomely. So that's what I pick.
that is really neat. Do you use those like to annotate your books when you're finished with them or to like sign autographs and stuff or
No, because they're erasable. I guess I wouldn't want it to be able to be erased. I use my fine point Sharpie for that. I use these for everything else though. It says Pilot. So I guess it's Pilot brand friction erasable. And here's a tip for all you planners out there. I use these pens in my planners because then if I don't reach the goal by the deadline, I just erase it. So I didn't have to cross it out. So I don't look like a failure. I look like that goal just never existed in the first place. So you're welcome for the awesome life tip.
I like that. There you go. Okay, if you had to keep one, ebook, paperback, or hardcover?
Okay, so are we asking as a like humanity question or like apocalyptic? Because I really feel like ebooks have a lot of use, right? Because I could keep millions of ebooks in a tiny little hard drive in the apocalypse. Um, but if it's just a matter of what do I love the most, probably hardcovers because they're fun to hold and they look nice.
They do look nice, nice and crisp.
Yes, you don't bend the covers of them like you do a paperback.
I feel like they all have their pros and cons, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, these days I typically just buy books to look pretty on my shelf because I'm reading the ebook version of the same book. I don't like, I will check it out from my library and I buy the book and I don't even crack it open. It's just because I love the book and I want it on my shelf. But I'm reading digitally the most.
What is something I don't know about your favorite foods or restaurant choices?
You're giving me such hard
I'm
questions.
sorry.
How about my favorite restaurant in the world went out of business during COVID. And it
Oh,
was around since before I was even born. And my parents used to go there for date nights. And they always joked that that's why I loved it so much because when my mom was pregnant with me, they ate there like every week. And then they slowly started going out of business and now they're totally gone. And I talk about it all the time and I miss it. And I'll never have it again. And I'm so sad.
oh. What kind of food
Yeah.
was it?
So Tex-Mex.
Oh,
It was called Casa Ole. And it was Tex-Mex and it was very Texan and they had the best queso in the world. And it's like a restaurant that felt like home. And now it's gone. And now I'm sad, Tammy. Thank you.
oh. Wait, I think there's a Casa Oile up by me.
Nope. It shut down. They all shut
No.
down.
Oh, so
Yep.
sad.
Yep. Because we used to like make the drive every now and then and now they're just all gone.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, maybe something will come from the ashes of Casa Ole.
Yeah. Well, like if I'm ever like super wealthy, I am going to just make my own franchise like right next door to my house. I'll be the sole owner of it and it won't have to turn a profit. It will just feed me
And then you can have amazing Tex-Mex all the time.
all the time.
Tell me something I don't know about your greatest fears.
My greatest fears. I fear nothing.
That's a good thing.
I fear, I mean, besides the obvious of like something happening to my family, I really fear unidentified bugs in the house at nighttime.
I could get
And
on board with that. Yeah.
I feel like my mind hallucinates them all the time. I'll be like, oh my God, there's a bug. And it's really just a piece of dog hair or lint or something. I am deathly terrified of the idea of just like stumbling upon a big, disgusting, scary bug. And if I see it from a distance, like outside or something, it's not that big of a deal. I can avoid it. I'm just scared of accidentally stumbling into one. Or like the time as a child when I walked straight into a spider web and the gigantic spider was on my face and it was horrible.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was bad. So yeah, that's a big fear I have.
Yes. I don't think you're alone in that, especially like if
No.
you're walking around at night in the house and it's dark, you don't know what if you're gonna step on some weird bug that came in from outside.
Yeah, exactly. And my mind invents these like monster bugs that don't even exist. So
Although it's Texas, so they might.
mhm. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. The bugs here are just like you could almost charge them rent. They're so huge.
Oh, for sure.
Oh gosh. Well, one last question, having nothing to do with bugs.
Thank you.
Tell me something that I don't know about your greatest hopes.
Okay, this one might make me sound petty. No, I think it makes me sound good. So one of my biggest hopes is to become an author that is like, much more well known than I am now. And that when that happens, this bookstore that was very mean to me will request that I come to a book signing for them, and I will get to say, no, I'm too good for you. I think more than like fame or money, one of my greatest author goals is I just want this bookstore to ask me to come to their store, and I want to be able to say no. I want to pull a pretty woman and say no. Be like, don't you work for book royalty earnings? Because big mistake. The
Cute.
backstory to that is when Sasha came out, I had asked if I could do a book signing there. I had been there for dozens, if not 100 book signings. They knew me by name. I had gone to every book signing there, bought so many books there. And they told me, oh, I'm sorry, we only offer signings for prestigious authors, and you're not prestigious enough to sign here. And
Oh,
I just thought that was so rude. And it's
that's
like,
horrible.
I have been to signings at your store for authors that were equal to me or even lesser known. And you just like, really? So that is one of my greatest career goals, actually, is to just tell this particular bookstore, no thanks, I'm not going to sign at your store. So yeah, it might make me look bad, but it is what it is.
I mean, I don't blame you. I think I'd be feeling a little bit bitter myself if that happened. You work so hard and you put your heart out there in a book and
Yeah.
like,
And it had the film options purchased. And they used the word prestigious, which I just felt was really rude. Like there was better ways to turn me down. I know how to get rejected. I've been rejected a lot. Just politely do it. You don't have to say prestigious, like really.
well, you're prestigious in my heart.
Thank you. And you
Yes.
are as well in mine.
Well, Cheyenne, thank you so much for being on the show and coming back to share all about yourself and your books. And listeners, please check the show notes for links to purchase her books or check them out at the library or to find them at independent bookstores, wherever you like to get your books, and be on the lookout. The movie of The Last
So
Wish of Sasha Cade will be coming.
not to interrupt, it's actually a mini series, not a movie.
What miniseries?
Yes. They're
That's
making it
actually,
into I'm
yeah,
psyched. Yeah, they said they're aiming for 8 episodes
that's even more
for season 1.
exciting.
Yeah,
That's
so I'm really
great.
excited. So keep an
Okay.
eye out for that.
Yay, miniseries. I like that. See, then we get to spend more time with your lovely characters.
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm scared and I'm excited, but I'm mostly excited. Thank you so much for having me.
You're so welcome. And listeners, again, check the show notes and look for all the exciting stuff from Cheyanne Young. Thanks for listening to the podcast. Like the show? Have a question? Stop by the Facebook and Instagram pages. Links are in the show notes, or search for Creative Piecemeal Podcast on social media and click follow for all the latest.